Hello, and welcome back to Pints with Pals. My name's Mike, and joined with me today is Jeremy. I'm not going to point. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy. Mike's over that way.
Oh, you did it. You're that way. Oh, I did it too. It's like whatever way you think it's going to be, go the opposite.
Yes.
Today, it's one of my wife and I's favorite breweries down in Tinley Park. It's Hailstorm Brewing.
What is that
We're
name
doing
again?
Hailstorm.
No, the other part. No, the other
Oaks?
part.
Brewing.
Nope. You're close. Tinley Park. That's what you said.
Oh yeah, Tinley Park. Yeah, sorry.
I thought you said Tingling Park. I'm like, I don't know what that
Tinley
is.
Park is it's like south of Chicago, about 40 minutes. It's a pretty cool place. I highly recommend visiting that area. There's like 5 breweries within like 20 minutes. So it's a really cool place. I went up there and they had 4 packs of this. We tried it on tap and I really liked it, so I got 4 packs of it. It's called the Oaks. It is a Imperial brown ale. It comes in at 9% ABV.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. And they have it's kind of cool because not very many breweries do this, but they have like a flavor
Scale. Yeah.
scale on it. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
between dry and sweet, it's right in the middle. Between malty and bitter, it's closer to the malty side, and I definitely remember that. And between light and dark, it's all the way to the dark side. The dark side.
Do they have cookies? Sorry.
No. Oh God.
Bad jokes. Is it foaming?
No. Yes. I didn't spill though. I was not prepared. It was it wasn't, so I don't know if I shook it up.
That's pretty clear.
So I might have shaken it up a little bit just by doing I have my Mongolian barbecue glass. But yeah, I got a little bit of foam in mine.
You can't see through this at all. I mean, I would say it's 100% opaque, but that is.
I can see barely through it. Caveat, it was canned almost 2 years ago.
Oh gosh, yeah. Been a hot minute, hasn't it?
Yeah, canned on 2/17/2023. I think we bought it in.
So okay, so this is just an Imperial. This is not a barrel aged at all.
No, so there's not. It doesn't have any of the.
Very malty.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of the oak or bourbon flavors.
I wonder why they call it the oak then, or the oaks.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with the area.
Maybe. I'm getting a little bit of metallic from it.
Yeah, that might be the time.
Yeah, the smell and flavor do not match. That's kind of like that fruit punch Voodoo Rangers that we had. Like,
it's got a bit of tang to it that I was unprepared for.
It's definitely more, metallic. I get bitter. Maybe nutty in a way, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm going to stretch. But you smell it. It smells maybe malty. Oh crap! I got beer on my new keyboard. That's not good.
Yeah, I think that I agree that the flavor it's definitely sweet, like way sweeter than I was expecting it to be. But I feel like you would get that in an Imperial. That it just being basically double the amount of malt that you're putting into it.
Right.
I feel like it's lacking a bitterness that a brown ale typically would have. And I feel like the bitterness is like it's replaced with sour, but that again is probably age. A 2-year-old non-barrel aged beer.
It very well could be. I don't think you're wrong at that at all. Yeah, I actually have some pretty high hopes on this. So when it comes to these ones here, yeah, best enjoyed within 6 months. It even says that right underneath the can date. So they even know that it's not good or not enjoyable I may give it just a little bit to warm up.
Yeah.
And see
Off
if
the-
that kind of changes a little bit.
Off the rip, this is probably the lowest scoring beer that I've had in this season anyway. I mean, it's only 5 episodes in, but I feel like this brewery does, so like they do, and I've talked about it a bunch, the Zombie versus Vlad versus Shark. So it's VZS, which is an 18% barrel aged beer. Very, very sweet. Very, very like cherry forward almost. And it's obviously barrel aged. That's how they get it to be that point. But their other stuff is pretty thick and heavy. I feel like the brewery itself have a heavy hand, and they like, I think they do a lot of the Imperials and like big beers. And I know that this one, it's this time of year. Obviously it was brewed in February, brewed way before that, I'm sure, but like it's a cold beer, like a cold drinking beer. So I think I would probably right now give it about a 2.5.
I think that's fair.
Maybe. But again, asterisks. There's definitely an asterisk on this episode as far as I don't know if I would give it that.
Right. I'm going to go 2.35 just to be different. Just because, like, I did have high hopes for it. It is old. But I have to judge what I have, right? So, like, if this was school, you gave me your paper. That's not your best paper in the world, but I have to judge what's in front of me. So I'm judging what's in front of me. So it could be a lot better. I've had a lot of brown ales. I make my own brown ales. Feel like this has definitely missed the marks. In my point of view, credit. I don't make many Imperials, but I'm not getting what I would want out of a brown ale. But
no, for sure. Like I feel like it's missing any hoppiness at all, or bitterness. Not necessarily hoppiness. You can get bitterness other ways, but it has almost like a sour characteristic, which is obviously probably imparted by age potentially.
Yes.
The metallicness. I mean, like it again. I had another piece of pizza and I burned my mouth again, or we recorded them back to back, one of the two.
Right.
And so like I have like the metallic taste in my mouth already. So like it's really kind of just tasting super sweet and a little bit tart.
I'm getting metallic and bitter.
Not in the good ways.
Yeah, because a brown ale you should get like caramel, chocolate, nuts, sometimes nutty flavors, raisins. Mine is just metallic and bitter. That's all I get. On the nose, I would say I probably get the caramel, maybe hint of raisin.
I was gonna say I feel like I taste the raisin.
Yeah, maybe get a little more time and see what happens.
But
so, how'd you find this place?
We went to Fobab in 2019, and their barrel-aged beer won the entire competition, and I wanted to seek it out, and then we found out that it was in like a little relatively cheap place down in Tinley Park, like I was saying earlier, and so we went there, and it was just like the people were awesome. So I went there probably about 2 years ago, and talked with a guy that was like working there, and I was like, hey, like I loved the beer from 2019, and he's like, well, we have a bottle of it in the back. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, we just got an extra bottle. He's like, do you want it? And I'm like, okay. And he's like, and I'm like, do you want me to buy it? And he's like, well, we can't sell it. And I'm like, okay, like, can I trade you for it? And we had just gone to the Perrin's No Rules thing. So we had Perrin No Rules, and he's like, sure, I'll trade you for some of those. And so we traded him like a local Michigan beer for a local beer from there, and got the award-winning bottle of it. I was super excited. So it was really cool. So the people are just super, super nice. And like the place itself is fun. They've expanded quite a bit. It's a pretty decent sized brewery. But it's like typical brewery where it's like they have like basically picnic tables inside. I mean, they're benches, but they're like really long, and you can like sit down at them and stuff. Or like it's one bench for the entire like 10-foot long picnic table. So
Great.
it's really cool.
That's awesome. No, it is. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm glad you found a nice place you can keep going to that's still open, because the economy for breweries is still kind of a sad sight, I've noticed, at least in my region. While distilleries are booming, they're popping up all over the place down by me. It's been crazy, like how these underground moonshiners, whatever you want to call them, have got the means to open up their own legal distilleries. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the license to have or to become a distillery has gotten easier to obtain, or if it's like they're the same thing, like the brewery / distillery license. Well, because I know in Michigan, it's like there's a set number of them or something. It was a really weird, like, I don't want to say mafia, but it was a very weird, like, it was run by a certain group of people, and it was very difficult to get those licenses. So if you got one, you never ever let go of the ability to serve liquor. That's why, like, some weird, like, big boy chains had liquor licenses.
Yeah, so at least where I live, that's mandated by the town. So, like, the town I used to live in, like, they only had 16 licenses for the whole town. And as far as I know, they're all gone now. So, like, if you were a business that wanted to open up a new shop to sell, make, you can't. There's just no more licenses. But I do know there is a separation between liquor and beer. Like, I think the cost is a lot more for liquor overall, because I think that one is federally regulated as well too. So I don't think beer really is, or at least not to my knowledge.
No, I think it's because it's legal to basically brew beer in your backyard.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot more people and businesses brewing beer, where you can't legally brew. I mean, you can't legally distill in the state of, or in any state, I think.
Any state. No, it's illegal in all states. So some people say, well, it's not against the law if you do it. Well, no, it's still illegal. It's federally against the law.
Which is weird. So it's illegal for you and I to brew beer and then sell it, but it's not illegal for us to brew beer and then give it away. But it's not
to a certain point.
Cost effective.
You can only brew up to 250 gallons a year.
Unless we were trying to do the, what is it? 100 beers in a, 99.
Oh, the one. It's more than that now, but yeah, but it was the 99 beer challenge, yeah. But he even said that he reduced it down to like 2 gallons as well too. So he didn't want to get in trouble. Plus, he just said way too much beer he's making.
Right, that would be nuts to brew a beer a week for 99 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a good guy. If you guys want to find a good channel, he was the brew challenge.
Yes,
links in the description. But basically, his channel, and then he moved to Brewlosophy, which is another really cool like group of people that just do a bunch of experiments, which really kind of like pushed me into like doing some of the stuff that I'm doing, because I didn't really want to. I don't want to waste the money and time to try and do these experiments that are just going to result in meh, whichever is easier for, I would say, 75% of them. So yeah. Did you have...
So speaking of Brewlosophy, I actually took their Imperial brown ale, because I've never made one before. I made brown ale. I made a maple brown ale. We talked about before. We've had it, and I think it's in season 1. I would say probably we've had them. So I took their recipe. Their recipe is pretty simple. There's nothing. The only thing that's crazy is the hop combination. I feel like they go a little overboard, but again, it's Brewlosophy. But so they're doing about a 5.5 gallon batch. It's going to come in about 10% ABV. So overall, so they use 10 pounds of a Munich malt. So just pick whatever one that you like. 8 pounds of a pale malt. 8 ounces of black barley, which I thought was pretty brave. So it's not that black pennant that I always complain about. Black barley is just to make it like a really dark color.
I mean, this looks if you don't want black on the screen.
Yeah, that's black, yeah. So I'm thinking you can even substitute that for like a chocolate malt if you want to.
Yeah. I think the chocolate would give it a little bit of the bitterness too.
Yeah, but also I think it would impart some chocolate flavors on top of it. Then they use a pound of sugar, and the reason why they use sugar is to make it more dry. Right? Because I can't remember the science on it. Maybe I can find an article at somewhere. But when you add like table sugars as a boost in alcohol, actually dries it out as well too. So that's the grain bill itself, or the fermentables, whatever you want to call it. So for their hops, they're using some hops I've never used before in my life. So they're using a Laurel hop for 60 minutes. They're using Centennial hop at the 20-minute mark. Another Centennial hop at the 10-minute mark. Then they're doing a Citra at 10 minutes on top of that. Then at Flame Out, basically, they're using a Centennial and Citra again. To me, it feels like a lot of hops, but where was it at? The IBU say 51.7, but I don't think it's going to be that hoppy. I think you're just trying to, because it's going to be such a sweet beer, you're trying to bring it way down. And that's another thing that we've always talked about before. Like, we see these high numbers, like, oh my God, it's going to be, a hot bomb flavor of no, that won't be, just because there's so much sugar that's present. You got to balance that out. And then for yeast, they use Imperial yeast, or you could use an American Ale white yeast. And the biggest difference between there is temperature control. So if you have a really good temperature control, you can use the Imperial yeast, or you can use the American Ale white yeast, basically. But I said, it doesn't seem like hard, but it's just a lot of hops.
So the Imperial yeast, you need to stay within 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 65 degrees Fahrenheit is what the notes say.
Yes.
And so in the previous episode, we talked about how lagering basically is trying to keep your temperatures below probably 60 degrees-ish, depending on the yeast or whatever. But your yeasts will have a different strain, or they'll have optimal temperatures in which they will work. And they give somewhat a good range, but there are specific numbers that you want to try and hit, because it's like they're giving you plus or minus 5, I would say. So like in this situation, it's 55 to 65. So you would try and set it at like 65 and don't let it go above or below either one of those. Otherwise, you're going to get some like weird off flavors. So specifically in this beer, going through all these different hops that you're looking at listing there, I feel like it didn't add enough. At least it seems like it didn't add enough to kind of combat the sweetness of this beer. So like they did imperial amounts of malt, but they didn't do an imperial enough amount of hops, in my opinion. Or it's gone away in the 2 years it's been open.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I would definitely like to try it again, more fresher version of it. Even though we were sitting there probably talking about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, the flavor profile still, actually, I think it's gotten a little more bitter.
It tastes, it does taste a little bit more bitter, but it tastes more like a imperial stout in a way to me. Like there's like a lot of stout flavors to me. Not brown. I wouldn't, if you'd have handed me this, I would have never pinned it as a brown. But again,
no.
Asterisks, those little thing, there's it's an older can, so take this with a grain of salt. But this batch now, I would say, is not a buy. If you find one that was brewed or bottled on 2/17/23, maybe get the newer one.
24. You get 24. You get 24.
Yeah. Or 25. Wait a couple of months and get the one from
25 around the corner. Yeah.
All right. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this episode up. If you have anything that you would like us to try, always leave a comment. There's an email somewhere that we've never checked that nobody's ever emailed, I'm guessing.
No. Discord?
Yeah, Discord is the best place. We're definitely active on Discord. Yeah. So if you would like to add a comment, or I mean, you could add a comment to the video, but if you join our Discord or just kind of follow us on Discord, that's about the only place that we're on. So all the other stuff is we're too old for that shit.
Don't have much time either.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to have a pint with your pals.
Make sure you please drink responsibly. Like, comment, subscribe. I know we already covered that, but I cover it again anyways. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.